Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and welcome to the brand new podcast called VTech Talk Sports. Now, I know what you're thinking. Okay, it's sports. You're probably going to be talking about a bunch of different sports and their statistics and blah, 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 and stuff like that where people are ranked. No, that's not how this is going to work. What we're going to focus on is controversial stuff. Blown calls. We're going to talk, player safety, fan safety, anything along the sorts of lines of that that's kind of outside the realm of just the sport itself. So what we're going to do, per week, we're going to discuss 3 topics. And this week I have 1 for football and 2 for baseball. I know there's been a couple controversies for the NHL, a couple controversies for the NBA, and we'll probably get into that next week. But if you disagree, if you agree, if you have topics, what you want me to do next week or along the lines of that, be sure to follow me on Twitter at IIVTechII, as well as my Facebook page, IIVTechII Podcast. I also have 2 different shows. One's Off the Post that's covering the NHL playoffs right now, and I have VTech Talks Blackhawks Hockey, and I'm not really been posting much on that because it's been off season and school and different lines like this. But this will be one of my main shows that I will upload on once a week. Along the lines of that, it will be something that I will probably try to put up every Monday. I'll record it on Sunday, put it up on Monday, if my life allows me to do it, if that makes any sense. Anyways, so I'm going to kind of try to give out facts, and then I will have my counterpoint to what I think should be changed. Disclaimer, these are all my opinions. Yes, I'm just going to throw facts out there, but afterwards it's going to just be my opinion. You don't have to agree with my opinion. It's my opinion. You have an opinion. I'm just going with both sides of the story here. So, the first one I want to discuss is football, right? I should say American football because, in Europe and all that, they call it football, and football as in far as soccer. So when I say American football, you know that it's the football that we talk about. The sport that revolves around rugby and soccer. The play styles are the same. The terminology is kind of the same. So what I want to really talk about is the big old C word, right? And you're probably thinking to yourself, well, yeah, we know that 1, that's a bad thing, and 2, everyone talks about it, right? But here's the issue. We talk about it, but there's never anything, there's not an alternative plan. It's always been, well, we need to make the helmet safer. We need to penalize people for not tackling right. We need to penalize those people that have been taught, like, how old since they were in youth football, how to tackle improperly because one of their coaches probably didn't know how to tackle correctly, or they just didn't care and they just want to see the big hits. The game's faster. There's a whole lot of things that are going into a concussion that we discuss, but we never put in motion. You can put rules on everything, but rules are meant to be broken, right? So there's nothing that's been fully determined on how to prevent concussions from happening. All right, so I'm going to get in a little bit of history of American football real quick, okay? So we know that soccer is one of those sports, but what the real basis of it is rugby. Okay, rugby is the other European sport that is more like football than soccer is, along the lines of that. But the first game ever recorded was actually 2 college games, college teams. It was Rutgers versus Princeton on November 6, 1869. Ever since that game, okay, they've implied rules to make the game safer as far as the forward pass. The forward pass was never a thing until don't quote me on what year. If you have the year, be sure to let me know in the comments below. But that made the game safer. But now, since that game, you've had different, but here's the issue in modern times, people are getting bigger, faster, and stronger. The equipment is getting more safer and more deadly. What I mean by that is helmets can be used more like a weapon. as far as a protective device. You see it all the time. People leading with their head because they have that comfortability. It's a helmet. It's meant to protect your head. Yes, it protects your head. It protects your head, your skull, your face, everything along the lines of that. It still does not protect your brain. A concussion is when someone's brain, or when someone has a sudden stop in movement and their brain hits their skull and it bruises the brain. That is a definition of a concussion along the lines of that. It's not the exact definition, but it's pretty dang close. Right? So no matter what you do, no matter what you do at all, you will never, unless you can have a device that goes in someone's brain and prevents their brain from moving around, no matter what contact sport you have, heck, it could be even walking up or down the stairs, you still can get a concussion. But what can we do to prevent every week someone going out with concussion? Right? Every year, there's 3.8 million people that can get concussions from competitive and recreational sports, and football is on top of that list. So, how do we lower the rates of concussions? Right? Like I said, the helmets, the shoulder pads allow you to run faster, run harder, hit people harder. Your helmet is a safety valve, I would say, for a person that's occurring the contact. Because you can lead with your head, and your head, your physical head, I should say, your skull, all that is going to be protected no matter what. Now, you may get some bumps and bruises or along the lines of that, but you put that helmet on and you feel like you're not going to ever get hurt. Because it's a different feel. It's padded. It's got all these different, it's just not like a leather cap. It's not your head. It's not just your head. Because you don't want to just lead with your head when you don't have a helmet on, right? I don't think anyone wants to do that. So what if we say we strip all that away and make it like rugby? Not saying we change the whole sport and we make it like rugby. What I'm saying is if we strip everything down, no one has any pads. What does that do to the game? Right? What is rugby's biggest problem with injury? And it's spinal injuries. But that comes down to the style that they play. You know, you have the dog piles in football, but the dog piles in rugby, there's no whistle that blows it dead. So there's still people fighting and all this along the lines of that. So what if we did that to football? The sudden stops wouldn't be that quick, right? There would be some sudden stops, but there wouldn't be too many. Because people won't want to hit really hard because, one, they don't have a shoulder pad on, they don't have helmets on, so you're not going to see that shoulder pad going into a helmet with the receiver going through the middle, because, one, that's going to hurt you at the same time. You're going to hit him, you're going to hit his head, and you're like, ow, that really hurt, maybe I shouldn't do that. You may see better tackling practices, more towards where you want in the hip there, but what is it really going to prevent injuries? Is it really going to lower the concussion rates? It may, but also being a fan of football, you don't want to see the pads, the helmets, all that other fast action going on be stripped away, because you want to watch those big hits. That's why you watch football. That's why you get into it. But you watch it for the big hits. That is what makes football one of the number one sports in America, is the ability for those high action, fast paced hitting plays. Nowadays, it's hard for people to watch baseball. It's hard for people to watch slower games because of the attention spans. You have people's cell phones, people's attention spans just go off haywire this way and that way. But what I'm saying is, if you take the action away from football, will football survive? Is the real question. Will the NFL be able to make enough money to survive? Because then you may have another league that comes about but keeps the pads, keeps the big hitting hits, and they are the ones that topple the NFL. So what has the NFL done to really make the game safer? They have, let me say, not flagging people. I'm talking about what in the rules have they done to try to make the game safer. One, they've been trying to get rid of kickoff for the longest time. They have not done it yet. One year they decided to make the touchbacks the 25 instead of the 20 because average, most people get to the 20 or between the 20 and 25, so you just make it 25, so you just take a knee and you don't have to worry about running it out, or the case may be. But then they put in, you have to have, 8 men inside from the 40 to 35, not quite sure. They have to have 8 people inside of a box that's like 10 yards away from the kickoff point, right? That way you don't get people who go to block and everyone... It's to slow it down a little bit. Slow it down, but not slow it down. I don't mind that style because I think it opens up more opportunities to make those big runs, those touchdown runs along the lines of that. That's what the ability for that is. And I don't mind that rule. I don't mind it at all. But what I don't like is what college is doing. Okay? So the refs are now trained to, if they see a head-to-head collision, automatically flag it, right? Then they go in and they review the play. And if it's a helmet-to-helmet contact, whatever the case may be, they flag it. They've already flagged it, but they go around, they say, all right, it's a 15-yard penalty, and that guy's out of the game. All right, cool. Not cool because, one, these are college players. Yes, some college players will go play pro, okay? Some college kids won't ever get to play pro. This will be their last year or whatever the case may be, and it's their last game, senior night, or playing in a bowl game, and he makes one mistake and you kick him out. These are not professional players. They are college players. You cannot tell me you're going to kick a 18-year-old, 19-year-old, 17-year-old, 20-year-old out of a game because the way he was taught since he was 5 years old how to tackle, all the way brought up, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. All right? You might say, well, he's a 19-year-old. He has still plenty of years, but he really doesn't. If you think about it, you have youth league, you have high school. Once you hit high school, you're halfway to the top. Then you make college, you're 3/4 of the way there. If you make pro, then you may have anywhere from 5 to 10 years in the league. So you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Concussions like that won't ever go down until you look at the youth leagues. Now the NFL has a heads-up program who's teaching how to tackle properly, and that's great. But you're starting to see concussions lower and lower and lower and lower in age, right? When I was going through playing football, I can't remember what age group I was in, but the lowest I think was like 7 or 8. I think it was 7 or 8 you could play. Once I got to high school and I looked back at the program, you got kids that are 4, 5 playing football. Now, they're saying that their concussion, they don't really hit hard enough, but yet they could. If they fall down wrong, if they hit wrong, or whatever the case may be. But that's not teaching anyone the fundamentals of football. It's not like baseball. It's not like hockey. It's not like the other sports. Football is a different sport in the way that if it doesn't click for you, it won't click. What I'm saying is you can teach a kid how to tackle properly, but you have this big old helmet on you, which is probably a lot heavier than your head can really keep up. So you're going to end up falling with your head anyway, so it's not teaching them anything good anyways. Who was it? Joe Lombardi. Who was the NFL coach that said soccer is the greatest sport until you hit 7th grade? Soccer teaches you the fundamentals of running around, being active, this and that. But once you get to football, you actually play a real man. And once you get to middle school, you play a real man sport. I'm okay with that. Because by that time, your body's starting to grow a little bit. You're starting to understand things better. And then you can figure out where you're at. Because when I was little, I was halfway decent at playing football. I mean, I wasn't really the tallest person, but consciously, I felt fine and I could do all that. I could have that ability to play. But then once I got older, everyone started to get taller than me, and I stayed at the same height. I mean, when I was a freshman in high school, I was like 4'8", 89 pounds, and I was playing football. And we didn't have a freshman team, we only had a JV and a varsity team. So what does that do for someone's psyche, right? It initially just took me out of the sport of football because of the height advantage, the difference of that. So I'm just saying, if you start playing football in 7th grade, maybe your demeanor is a little different. But yet again, for short people, you always hear about these tall people. So there's another aspect of it that I'm not really going to get into. I mean, I've been running about this for 15 minutes. But what I'm saying is there will never be such thing as no concussions in football. We can lower the rates, but we have to look at the ability to get to the younger kids to teach them not to tackle wrong. We have to get along the lines of that. Practices may have to be a little different, but yet again, you have old school coaches who say, well, you guys are ruining the sport, but here's the issue. You ruin the sport by saying, well, there's a bunch of concussions. This is one way to do it, but we're not going to execute it at all. We aren't going to apply this rule, so guess what? It's not going to work. Then parents get scared along the lines of that, but it won't change until younger kids are able to tackle perfect or a lot better than just leading with their heads. So that comes down to the parents. It comes down to the younger coaches. Have to have the ability to teach the kids how to tackle properly before we can even think about lowering the concussion rate. Now, we're going to move on to player safety. Not player safety, but we're going to move on to fan safety. So in May, because we're playing the Astros, Albert Almada Jr. hits a 4-year-old with a hard line shot. He is in distraught. He's in tears. He's crying. He felt so bad. He made the remark along the lines of, when I hit the ball, I made eye contact with her. And then the next day he said, well, the MLB needs to do a better job on protecting their fans. So what do we do? What does the MLB need to do? Because they've already, some fields have extended their netting to the end of the dugout and some further, right? So they've already protected the fans that are sitting right there. That would be very hard to get out of the way of. Those really hard line shots that get roped or fouled back that are kind of iffy to get out of the way of. So we look at the Japanese league over there in Japan. They have nettings all the way down to the foul pole. Okay, it protects their fans all the way. Okay, we can do that, right? But here's my counter argument to that, right? I remember a couple years ago, Anthony Rizzo made a spectacular foul ball catch, and he was on the tarps, and he leaned over and caught the ball, and it was an out. Just imagine that with fencing all the way down the line. Would he ever made that catch? No. Would he ever been known for that catch? No. Well, you could say, well, that's not an issue. That's just regular season. Not that big of a deal. Okay? Let's reverse the roles. Bottom 9, World Series. Let's just say it's Yankees versus the Cubs. All right? I'm not a Cubs fan, but I'm just thinking realistically who could be there, and I'm a White Sox fan. My family's a bunch of Cubs fans, so I know the Cubs better than I do any other NL team that would be in the World Series. And I'm just going to say Yankees because of Aaron Judge. All right, that's why I'm going to use Aaron Judge as an example. Okay, Aaron Judge hits a foul ball like that, and Anthony Rizzo goes to try to make that catch. Or well, better yet, let's not make it a spectacular catch like that. Let's make it Dexter. No, he's not on the team anymore. Jason Hayward. There we go. Jason Hayward is playing right field, right? The ball is a little blooper that is very catchable. You've always seen that where they kind of lean over the fence and they catch it, right? Or over the out of bounds and foul territory to make the catch, right? Say it's a catch like that. Bottom 9, okay? Aaron Judge hits that. Jason Hayward goes over there, and it just hits above the netting to where if there was no netting there, he would have caught it, right? Next pitch, Aaron Hernandez hits a home run. How many people are going to go in uproar because the MLB put netting all the way down the fence? I guarantee you half of you would say, well, that's not that big of a deal, and the real sports people would be outraged because that was playable. Well, you can have the counter argument, well, they have that behind the net or behind the catcher, right? But I think we're just so used to that, and it protects the fans a lot better than a foul ball that gets a 1 in a million line shot that ends up hitting a 4-year-old girl in the face. Now, do I feel bad? Yes. But what happens if this was a 30-year-old drunk dude? How many clips would people be making fun of this dude for being drunk, for getting hit in the face with a foul ball? Okay, because probably he wasn't paying attention. He wasn't doing any of that. So people would probably be making fun of him for it. Let's flip the rules here real quick. Where were the parents? What were the parents doing? Yes, I understand it's a line shot. It's hard to react to. But you have a 4-year-old girl right next to you. Your daughter is right next to you. And a line shot comes at you. What is your first instinct should be as a parent? To protect your daughter at all times. That doesn't mean be on your phone. It's a baseball game. You're at a sporting event. Anything can happen in a sporting event. Especially in baseball, you have to be alert because there's foul balls. I know going to games, they have signs that say, warning, foul balls, be alert. They give those signs for a reason. It's not there just because. You have to be able to watch the game and protect yourselves and your loved ones. And if you don't, they're going to get hurt. And that's going to affect people. I'm not saying I have not watched. I don't want to watch the clip because I know there's not going to be a bunch of clips. You have to find that one person who finds this absolutely hysterical, or someone who vows to change the rules are going to have this clip. Because they will never put this on any replay. They will never, on TV, will never do that. I would have to go through and find the clip. But I don't want to see a 4-year-old get hit in the face with a baseball. Okay? So what do we do to soothe the rules, to make this more beneficial? How do we protect the fans? Right? One, you're going to have to sacrifice seating. You either have to sacrifice seating on the foul lines and move them more towards the nosebleeds or more towards the home run areas. Because my thought here is you have to open up the foul lines. Okay? Make it 10, 20 yards further out in those high shot areas right by the dugout there. and then put fencing up. Because those plays that should be made will be made. And the plays that could have been iffy or wouldn't have never really been made, you would protect the fans. Now, how far do you do that? All the way down the foul ball line? You could. You don't have to, because by the time those balls are hit, the fans should know that, hey, a foul ball's coming right at me. It has enough time for it to slow down a little bit. Especially those fans that are right there by the home run line there. They should have enough time to react. What if it was a home run that hit someone in the face? Are you saying now you're going to put netting up all the way around to protect the fans? Guess how many people are going to be at your ball games? Not a single one. Because why do you go to a baseball game? Okay, you go to watch your team. But why do you bring your mitt to a baseball game? Oh yeah, there's a chance to get a foul ball or a home run. You look forward to baseball games for that. There's people that go for years and years and never get a baseball. I have never gotten a baseball at a baseball game. Never gotten a home run, never got a foul ball. But you go there for that reason. You want a foul ball. You want a home run. You pick your seats around that. Except if you're in the nosebleeds. You just kind of pick your seats because you want to watch the team play. You're not going to get those high-end seats because no one's going to pay because they won't get the ball. Right? That's what people pay for sometimes. Not all the times, unless you just have a crap ton of money and you just want to watch a baseball game. But the people that go with their mitts, you look around the baseball field and how many people are with their mitts? A lot of them. They want the ball. They want that ability to get a baseball. Home run, foul ball. So how is the MLB going to go along the lines of this? Are they going to extend the netting? If they extend the netting, that's fine. Protect your fans. You need to protect your fans as well as your players. But you can't lose the integrity of the game. You have to look at it. You have to really think about it. There are some teams that have already had the netting extended to the dugouts and a little bit past. Some teams haven't because you got to look at the foul ball area. So what are they going to mandate that every single league or every single stadium should have netting all the way down to the foul ball? What about the Oakland A's? Oh, that's a football stadium that converts into a baseball stadium. The foul lines are huge. They're massive. The foul areas are massive. So they're going to have to look at that. And what are they going to, does every league or every team have to pay for their own netting, or is the MLB going to install this for them? There's a lot of things that are going to go into it. I don't think we'll see a change right away, but there will be changes. I mean, yes, there's tons of people that are getting hurt by baseballs, just along the lines of that, and that truly is an issue, but it comes down the lines of technologies these days, because you didn't hear all that stuff back in the day because people weren't on their phones. The people that got hit with baseballs were the ones that were on the phone, little flip phones. I remember a girl got hit in the face, a boyfriend got hit in the face, or whatever the case may be. He was looking down at the phone. Baseball is not a sport where you can't just look at your phone and not really have an issue with it. You also got to know where you're sitting. If you're in a high area for balls that get hit that way, yeah, you may want to be off your phone and pay attention to the game, or wait till in between innings to be on your phone. But you have to pay attention. That's the part of a sporting event. You have to pay attention to what's going on. So, in this top, it's going along the lines of baseball still, but we're going over player stats here a little bit. Not player stats, but in baseball, right? This is one topic that's kind of split into an A and a B session here. We're going to talk about average, batting average, and leadoff hitting. So, in batting average, if you hit a 300 in your career, you're considered a good hitter. Now, I want you to think about that. Okay? I want you to really think about it. You're like, dang, a 300, how does someone hit a 300? Why is 300 the standard batting average? if you play an entire game, you have at least 3 at-bats, right? The experts are saying that you need to at least get 1 hit per game in order to be a decent ball player or a decent hitter. That's 333%. Not gonna think, 0.333%. I'm sorry for that. So why is it now that people are overlooking batting average? Well, they're looking at OPS, right? Your fielding doesn't. Whenever I was growing up, once I got to the high school level, I would say I had a decent glove. Okay, I had a decent glove that was probably better than most, but I was so with my batting. Okay, so when I was growing up, it was your fielding doesn't have to be great. It has to be good. But you can have a great glove. You could make no errors. You could never miss a throw. You can never. But if you can't hit, then you're not going to be able to play. And I get that. But that goes back to the batting average, right? You look at the batting average. If someone's batting a 150, who is really good at fielding, but can't score you anything. But then you have a guy that has I would say a decent glove, but can bat a 400. Who are you going to take? The guy that's batting 400. But nowadays, it's this guy that can bat 250, but has 60 home runs a game or 60 home runs in a year, but has like 60 RBIs because he can only hit himself in. Just stay with this. But then you have a guy that's batting a 400 or a 350 who has 12 home runs but has 120 RBIs. Who are you going to take? I'll let you think about that real quick. Most people are going to take the person that can hit 60 home runs in a year but has a 250 batting average. But this guy has a 350 to 400 batting average and he has the ability to hit people in. It frustrates me that people don't like batting. They'd rather look at the OPS. They'd rather look to see if you can hit home runs or not. They'd rather see if you can hit the ball every so often, but never get on. Or never, or when people are in scoring position, you can never get them in because you can only hit solo home runs. Or, along the lines of that. It irritates me. You have to look. Baseball is all about analytics. It's all about numbers. Heck, they even made a movie on it. You're telling me that you're gonna take someone who bats a 150 but can hit at least 1 home run a game. Not at least 1 home run a game because he'd be batting a 300. Every other game he can hit a home run, or every 3 games he can hit a home run, versus a guy who can hit 3 doubles per game or 2 doubles per game, but able to score people in. A right-minded person would be like, I'm going to take that guy who can hit doubles, who can get on base, who can drive people in, versus the guy that can hit that 1 home run that we needed in that game. Maybe. I don't know where baseball went wrong. Because yes, you have pitching that's faster. You have different motions on pitching. There's so much that is changing, especially the speeds of pitches. I mean, years ago you didn't see someone that could hit 100 miles an hour. Now you're getting people that's hitting 95 and 100 like no problem. But I want to look at a player's statistics, okay? So Jose Altuve, who's 5'6" and starting for the Houston Astros, right, and won the World Series. In his career, he has 106 home runs. He's had 24 home runs the last 2 years, and he's hit double-digit home runs in the last 4 years. Prior to that, he wasn't hitting much. I think he was hitting 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. But for his career, so far, he's batting a .314 batting average. Okay? Let's look at Aaron Judge. In his 4 years, he's hit 88 home runs. He bats a 274 batting average. Okay, you say, well, that's pretty close to 300. Not, a couple hits here and there. It's pretty close. But here's the issue. If you had both of them on the same team, most people are going to put Judge before Altuve because he can hit home runs. No, you put Altuve before Judge so he can drive him in. People aren't looking at the simplicity of it. They're not looking at how baseball should be. Baseball used to be, all right, I'm going to take this guy that can get on base no matter what. I'm going to look at his on-base percentage. He can get on no matter what. Right? He leads the game off. He gets walked, gets a hit, single, whatever. He moves to first. Now, he's the super fast guy, so he's still second. What does the guy behind him do? Well, either you have a guy that can bunt the ball very well and has speed, or you have someone that has the ability to get on base by a hit. They have one of the higher batting averages. Right? So he gets him to third. The third guy has the ability to lift the ball up in the air and get it far enough to bring the guy from third home. There's your first inning. You're already up by 1. All right, or if all 4 of those people get on, you have a 4-hole hitter who has the power and ability to hit the ball out of the park. Okay? So, this leads me to the next point, is leadoff hitting. You used to see that guy who's really fast, really speedy, like I said, that is the leadoff hitter. Now you don't see that. Alright, you have a guy that's slower that has the ability to hit the ball further. I don't have an issue with that because let's talk about it. Alright? A leadoff hitter, a true leadoff hitter, may lead off. He leads off the game 1 time. You go to the next inning, he's not leading off if there's 3 straight outs. He's not leading that off. So there's only 1 time where the guy leads off once. Now, I'm not saying down the road he may not lead off the inning, but he only leads the game off 1 time. So what if he hits a home run? You're already up 1-0. Correct? We agree with that? You're up 1-0. Already in the first inning. Okay? But let's talk about it a little bit. If he is one of your guys that has the power to hit the ball over the fence, but he's your leadoff guy, what happens if you look at the people behind him? Maybe the people behind him get a lot of walks. Maybe be able to get the singles. Maybe get able to get the doubles. That have the ability to try to get on base. So you go up 1-0. Right? Then you have your second and third person that can potentially get on. But it's not saying it's going to happen. But say your 4-hole hitter now has the ability to hit home runs. He can jack him out of the ballpark, long lines of that, but he's batting at .250. He has so many strikeouts that it's unbelievable. He never gets walked, and if he doesn't make solid contact with it, it's normally a ground out to the pitcher. All right, it's theoretically talking. So then you get towards on your bottom of your lineup, and that's where the people that don't hit the ball very well start to go down that way. So yeah, you're up 1-0, but you strand 2 people on base. You flip those people around, you put the number 2 and 3 hitter up at 1 and 2, and you move your leadoff hitter down to 3. Well, guess what? Now you're up 3-0. They're trying to reinvent the game. Baseball works because it doesn't change. The game may get bigger. The game may get faster. They may change the balls. But baseball will always be a dominant pitching game. Now, you may say, well, that's not true. They're scoring a lot of runs. They're doing this. They're doing that. They're being phenomenal in the hitting ability. Well, they tightened the blade, did something to the ball, and blah, 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 and this and that. The home run ratios are going up. Okay, great. The home run ratios are going up, but the batting averages are going down. So that means more people are hitting home runs. But yet again, batting average is going down. Strikeouts are going up. So which one does that favor? 2-1. It favors the pitching. The balls are faster. Yes, they're coming in faster. So people that can hit the ball square, the ball is going to travel further because it's coming in faster. But people are striking out more and more every year. And the pitchers are getting faster. They're getting smarter. They're coming, the pitches, all this and that, all the long lines of that. That's getting better. Okay. So it's just you can't change the formula up too much. You have to look at it at an analytic standpoint. I don't have an issue with saying the new batting average has to be 270 or 260 or even at 250, because you think about it, if the people ability to, so quote unquote, score so many runs, people are going to get at least 4 at-bats a game. So 250, if one person gets one hit, okay, they're a decent hitter now. But there has to be a way to understand who's a leadoff hitter and who's not. Are you just going to leave all your power as the leadoff hitter, or are you going to use your speed who can get on base? Like I said, if you don't agree with anything I say, be sure to follow me on Twitter at VTechII to put in your comments. That's going to do it for the first episode of VTech Talks Blackhawks Hockey. I hope you enjoyed this first podcast at least. I'll be working on next week. I'll probably talk about the blown calls in NHL. I'm probably going to talk about not blown calls, but the player safety, fan safety for the NBA. But I'll rope it in, not just talking about those two sports. I'll add another, but I'm talking as a whole, kind of like I did here, kind of as a whole a little bit. But I'll get along the lines of that. If you have any other topics you want me to cover, go right ahead and let me know. But I'm Kyle Savedich, and I want you to enjoy the rest of your day, rest of your evening, whenever you're listening to this, and hopefully catch you in next week's podcast.